What did the motherboard happen to the motherboard when she walked into a bar? She turned into fragments of silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me as always are Golix and P. Let us get to the news. Petty, start us off this week. Because I think you've got something or other.
Well, like the big thing is tomorrow the insurance adjuster is gonna come look at the roof to decide if we need a whole new roof or if we're better off just getting a patch. So we've been like cleaning up the upstairs and stuff because we don't know if they're gonna need to come into the house or how that works. So I have not gotten much sleep this week, so I am tired. So kind of why we have like a hard cutoff of around midnight my time on MSP tonight, because I don't think I have it in me to do another 3-hour epic. Not this week.
I can relate.
And I guess something else that unfortunately happened, one of my friends was looking to have me mod their PSP. So I was gonna, plug mine in and make sure the modding tools I had still worked. Plugged my PSP in and the battery went pop.
That's not good.
Uh-oh.
Luckily, there was barely any charge at all. It just expanded rapidly. And it basically ejected itself because PSP has a removable battery. So it's basically been sitting in the best I can call it is a tinfoil coffin, just in case it decides to spark up.
No, that's what you do. That's what you do with rechargeable batteries when they're bulging or whatever.
Yeah. And then this weekend, we're going to take it to like Interstate Battery Center and have them recycle it. I have a new PSP battery in my Amazon cart. I just need to order it. So it's like...
How much are those going
depends days? What model. For my PSP 3000, where was that? I think it's like, with a charger, $15.
Huh.
So yeah, it doesn't look like anything broke on my PSP, but because of the way the PSP is set up, I can't turn it on without a battery in it. And I'm not exactly going to shove a bulging battery back in there.
No.
Yeah, that's how fires happen, children. Don't do that, please.
Fires and or toxic gases.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Also, apparently, I guess during the show, the like Digimon Con stuff is happening, which I'll be looking at that in the morning, because when we are done with shows, I am going to bed.
Yeah, it's starting at 11 Eastern Daylight Time, I believe.
Something like
that. All
that.
of the signs say that it's starting at 10 Eastern Standard Time, which is technically true, but no one observes Eastern Standard Time at this time of year.
I don't think Japan has done their time change yet. That's probably
Japan
why.
Japan does not do a time change.
Oh, they don't? Okay, well then.
That is why.
That would be why.
I mean, I only know this because the with the will, Mark over it with the will pointed it out to me.
But yeah, that's something that I'll be looking into tomorrow, because there are things that involve the card game, like the potential for a official sim.
Possibly. Also, we have a leak that there have at least a confirmed title for a new anime at some point, so...
Yeah. So that's going to be fun.
It's been a hot minute. Ghost game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ghost Game was 2020.
Jeez,
So-
Really,
long
it's
ago?
not that unusual for Digimon to go a few years without a anime, though, and they've been keeping busy with other projects.
Yeah, they did the Seekers novel and the Liberator comic and web novel. So the IP hasn't been on ice like it had been since between Cross Wars and Try, but at the same
Just not on
time,
air. Yeah.
it's not been on the airwaves. So yeah, also I
Right.
may have a new friend who may be joining the ranks of Digimon card game players, which is hilarious. I'm becoming Patient Zero in my friend group for that.
Did you finally convert Ogre?
Oh yeah, Ogre and Golux are one of my converts, yes.
Hey, you didn't convert me. I was already doing it.
Fair, but I did convert Ogre. Apparently, Ogre and Naka actually have a members-only video on Naka's YouTube channel of them opening a Digimon box.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it, but I'm not a member because I'm not a member of any YouTube channels.
Yeah, I wish I had
So-
the extra money laying around to be, members of...
Did Ogre manage?
Hmm?
Hold on here. Did Ogre actually manage Naka to get on camera?
I have no idea
No, I
how
think
it's
I
set
think
up.
it's just Ogre and it's just hand cam anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just hand cam. I haven't seen
That's
it because...
yeah. That's about what I would have expected.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm
They
pretty sure
probably
Naka thinks.
They probably borrowed Barry's setup. I don't know.
Well, it's more, Naka has a very profound fear of having his face being on the internet.
I mean,
Or
I guess after, the incident, understandable.
true, but that goes way back to his early days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Naka's
Like-
very private, unsurprisingly.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think I've ever seen his face. So,
Mm. But yeah,
I mean,
I just find it hilarious that I'm becoming Patient Zero for this. And yeah, I've also huh?
I ardently refuse to touch anything Digimon card game related.
That's fine. I've also been kind of working a bit on my Gundam backlog. I'm mostly done with Caliburn, but I was a dumbass and broke the base that came with it off inside of it because I thought it was it wasn't a ratcheting base. So I went to try and adjust it and snap the peg off inside. So that's going to be fun to
That's
fix.
usually fixable to some extent.
It's fixable. I just need to get a hand drill so I can make a groove to get toothpick with some super glue in there. It's fixable. I just need to get a hand drill.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's it for me.
Oh, Galax, that means it's your turn.
I have been having a rough few days. My work, whatchamacallem, remote desktop has been down all week.
Oh yeah, you
And
need to use a
that's-
special one of those because of where you work, don't you?
A little bit. When I'm working from home, which I have to do for some of my hours because some of my hours are not the main hours on
Right.
the office is open. It's so that's been frustrating because it's been impacting my productivity. Thankfully, the stuff that needed to get done did get done. There's construction near work still that is very obnoxious in terms of parking, and I feel like I have to leave like 10 minutes earlier to not get there later.
Mm.
Um, all the usual world bullshit still going on. I need to get a new laptop, I think, pretty soon, because I'm gonna be going to my grandfather's thing in May. I really want to go to that, and I want to have a computer that'll work for that. So, Petty, I'm probably gonna need consultation on that because I am not good at judging on laptops, and I want something that's like
Yeah, I can help you sort that
durable
out.
and decent performance, but not. I don't need one that can run modern games. Really,
You don't need gaming on the go. You just need like productivity or something that will last you a while on the go.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of gaming, but not like anything super
Yeah,
fancy.
I trust me. I've seen the type. Yeah, I can sort you.
Because I need to figure out how much that is. I think I need to get a new uninterruptible power supply because it's been failing its self-test, which is noisy and obnoxious. In addition
Do
to
you
not
need to
actually working
replace it or
properly.
just replace the battery? Because a lot of them you can just replace the battery and it'll sort itself out.
One of these days, when don't have to use my computer early, I will open it up and see if the battery is loose or something.
Yeah.
The
Well,
thing is, it has an alert that it's supposed to do when it needs a replaced battery, and it's not doing that. Because I've already replaced the battery in this once.
Ah.
But yeah. So I'm looking at getting a new one of those, but I need to know how much I'm going to spend on a laptop and stuff, and then...
Right.
And one of these days I need to actually find time to call back the sleep people about the stupid thing. I've been trying to use those nose strips that open your nose up.
Yeah, if you actually have sleep apnea, those aren't going to work, unfortunately.
I think they've been helping like a little, but nowhere near enough.
Right.
Like they do help my breathing. I can feel that while I'm trying to go to sleep. But I don't think they're like making me not have apnea while I'm sleeping. And then friggin' the battle with the tinnitus in my right ear continues. And by battle, I mean waiting and hoping that it'll go away, because to my awareness, there's basically nothing you can do about tinnitus aside from wait for it to go away. Next time I talk to my doctor, I'll ask her to look in there and see if there's something weird. But...
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones that if they need to look in there and see if there's anything wrong, because obviously if there's a malady in there that can be corrected that will get rid of it, then...
It's not like that bad, but it's annoying.
Yeah, and there still could be something wrong that could be fixed that would resolve it, so...
Yeah, maybe I should just send a message on my card.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's about what I've been very stressed. On the plus side, my aunt and cousin came up for a visit yesterday, so that was nice. We went out and had dinner and stuff. It was a restaurant where they are primarily set up to have QR code and app-based ordering, which annoys me, but they did actually have a physical app, so I was able to save my own, or a physical menu, so I was able to save my own sanity. I think that's... Oh, and for the second week, we've been trying to do the Pathfinder 2nd Edition game while the normal Pathfinder Games host's basement is getting redone after leak. We had it at my house again, and that went pretty well. And I am mostly enjoying playing it so far, but I'm noticing that our party does not have a spellcaster or have a... Okay, we have a cleric, and the divine spell list isn't bad, but that's also the DMP's, like the DM's character, who is there mostly to like help with healing and stuff.
Because you guys getting polywomped in the first room would not be very good for storytelling.
Right, and even though 2nd Edition Pathfinder gives you way the hell more hit points at first level, it's not the same.
You still need someone to heal.
Right. And neither one of us is really trained in medicine either, so... So I'm thinking about working up a character like that to possibly... Like, my character can use scrolls now that we turn to level 2. Because thaumaturgists have that. But he's not an actual spellcaster. So yeah, I'm debating trying to figure out the spell system seems kind of complicated, so I don't blame no one else for trying to make one really.
Mm.
But that is what we're at. So I think that's about all I've got.
Okay. That means it's my go.
Yep.
It's been an eventful week. Like, well, yeah. Main thing is spring break. Like, I'm not sure how extended the spring break is, nationwide. I just know it's spring break here. And that means my brother's kids have been off all week, and they've been staying locally.
Back in my day, spring break was literally just Easter weekend. You got Friday off and the Monday off.
Yeah, it used to be Easter break. Now it's a little bit more, and some places do it once, and some places like split it up into like a March break and a May break or something.
Yeah. And the ultimate point is the kids have been up here all week, and since my brother works during the week, and it's a variable shift, let's say. Like right now at this moment, the kids are here, and I'm watching them, i.e., keeping my ear out to making sure there's not a rise in decibels. I'm like, especially since we've got 3 siblings grouped up together, and they do what siblings do. That is roughhouse. That aside, I've also been engaged in a row with my doctor's office over my blood pressure medication.
That's fun.
It really hasn't been, because medication is about to run out. Refills are done, so needed to get a new one. It's been like an effort calling the doctor's office multiple times, going down there, though the office was closed, even though it was business hours. Don't know what that was about. First time that's happened either. Like, where things lie right now, they finally filled the order. It's being processed, and the pharmacy doesn't know exactly when that's going to be done. So I might have to call the doctor's office again to get like a pack of 5 pills or something like that.
Yeah.
To make sure I don't run out of pills before this is done.
Because for anyone who's not messed with blood pressure medication, going from having it to having none of it is very, very bad.
Yeah. So, and they've got about 4 days left. So I'm not overly worried about running out of the meds. It's just I don't know when the new batch is going to be ready. So I got to make sure I have a spare set in case, it's Monday and they're still processing.
Right.
I don't think it's going to happen, but if there's
there.
a chance, yes, I'd imagine. So outside of that, still playing Pac-Man Museum among the games I've been playing for review. Had to put one on the reserve list because honestly, I'm not sure if the latest the release build is ready yet. Because I beat the first boss and it stopped. Like, it played credits, stopped, and I looked at the Steam page. It's like, oh, there are other biomes. This isn't done yet, and it's not an early access game either. So this is supposed to be a release candidate thing,
Ooh.
but I'm not sure if it. You see the problem.
Yeah, not sure if you actually got demo code or if it's something screwy.
Yeah, I'm like, because it has a demo as well. But the thing is, like, when I put the code in, the game showed up alongside the demo. But then the demo disappeared. Like, it doesn't say spilled demo. It just says the title of the game. So, like I said, I don't know what's going on there. So I'm gonna wait until that thing actually releases. See if that actually rolls out the full game.
Right.
Which means I've had to fill the hole. I picked Darwinia initially, but a bit of a playthrough is like I don't have the time to invest in that game while the kids are here, and the other game is actually quite lengthy. It's a bit of a bugbear on that, so I didn't feel like, okay, if I review this isn't going to be fair, so I've currently selected OTXO. More on that later. So that's my week, and indeed I think that'll about do it for the news. So merrily we shall roll along to the interview portion of the broadcast, as we're welcoming Prosciuttoman, Roverkibb, and Payton of Tunaware.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
We're doing fine-ish, I think. It's been a while since we've had this many people representing one company on the program. So it's going to make questions like these a bit laborious. That is, we like to get to know the people behind the studio, behind the games, and all that. And we do this by asking this particular question: what got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Which of us wants to answer that?
Yeah.
And you spoke first. You got that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, personally, I don't know. I've just been obsessed with it since I was like a kid. Like, literally, one of my first memories was like daydreaming about making games. And growing up, I would always like draw like stuff I'd want in video games and all that. And yeah.
I have a pretty big story with video games. Well, not too big, but so as like a little kid, I had like so many drawings of this video game in my head called Crazy Game, and it was just like a bunch of drawings made with like Crayola markers of different levels for this game that didn't exist. And I think part of what made me want to make video games so much was like kind of the drawing aspect. Like, oh, I could just make my things. I can make anything I want, and that's like that's the best thing ever for like little kid you. Like, oh, I'm basically God. I can do whatever I want.
I agree. I 100% agree with that, brother.
We should make Crazy
especially
Game.
with the route we chose.
I still have the drawings.
Oh no.
Oh yes. You do not want to know what my first game idea was going to be.
Do we?
Do we?
That's
It was like the most generic, like, you know, like how every aspiring game designer is like, my dream game is a platforming game, but there's also combat in it. Like, it was just another one of those. Luckily, I grew out of that phase, though.
Is that a hop
the
to
world
it?
can't have enough.
Hop to it.
Did we talk about hop to it?
Oh my god, maybe we should give them some lore.
Oh no.
It's important to the story.
It is pretty important, actually. I guess we should talk about how we all met, huh?
I guess.
That's Yeah, what we should,
yeah. All right.
If you have the time for it, yeah.
Where do
sure,
we
go.
start?
Well, I think like
From
how
the
do I put this?
beginning.
Like 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago,
Something like that.
we all met. Well, Payton and I met in the Pizza Tower Discord server, and a lot like us and some other people. We were like chilling out. We were all having fun, just like hanging out with each other and streaming. And then I think one of us was like, what if we made a game? And what if it was about this frog called Eugene? And he went on crazy adventures, and it had platforming and combat.
The drawing of Eugene the Frog looked like a snake, by the way. I don't remember who pointed that out, but
And then let's see. So that obviously fell through. That was never going to happen. But we had our own
Alright.
like Discord server and everything for it.
wait, Rover, what was that game called though?
Hop to it or the one after that?
Yeah. Hop to it, yeah. The beloved Hop to it that yeah.
That
It
5
never
people
came to
know
be.
about.
Literally, yeah, literally nobody knows.
And then let's see. And after that, so that fell through, but we did still have a team. We still had a team cobbled together. And we were like, this isn't gonna happen, man. So we made another game called Bunker Bum Rush. And you can actually play the demo for that one. That one had a demo made for it. Bunker Bum Rush on itch.io. You can check us out.
It's actually not bad too.
Yeah, I played it a moment ago. It was actually pretty good with a friend.
Yeah.
And then
I have an interesting story about that. I got my programming teacher to play it like on her big projector, and we had like an in-class like competition.
oh my gosh, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Yeah, two of like the core devs who like made like the main programming and then a lot of the art for a Bunker Bum Rush. They just left to make like Friday Night Funkin' mods.
The silent killer.
Basically, yeah. And then after that, it slowly kind of like decelerated and fell apart. But because of that, we met Cole, which is basically the start of Tunaware and Crow Crusader. We have him to thank. Payton and I.
You know, every little bit like that happened in between like me meeting you guys and then us just making Tuneware was kind of a blur.
Yeah.
I remember I think both of you just vehemently despised me in the beginning, which I thought, hey, you know what? Valid. This was like 4 years ago.
Maybe.
I don't think I despised you.
I was like
No,
really
I don't think you
suspicious of you
did.
as a moderator.
Yeah, no, you're always scratching your proverbial chin at me, but yeah, fast forward a couple of years and they were all on a server that I had, and one thing led to another, and then it essentially kind of repeated that what like Rover was talking about, like the let's make a game thing, and that's where Tuneware came from.
Yeah, it's instead of falling apart, it actually became something.
Yeah.
Oh look, I found Bunker Bum Rush.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
Dude. Do you have Parsec?
Playing Bunker Bum Rush live on stream?
I can probably
Well, I don't think
download it.
it's-
Give me a moment.
I don't think I have Parsec installed, but I highly recommend playing with friends because it's okay single player, but it's meant to be played multiplayer. It's meant to be like
I guess
Well, that's what the
Galaxy's,
parsec
game-
is for the multiplayer thing.
yeah.
I don't have parsec set up. I used to, and then I got a new computer since then.
oh,
Yeah, same situation here.
There is the trailer, though.
oh my gosh!
Oh,
Nothing
little
is
fun
set.
fact about that. My cousin edited that trailer. He put it all together.
Neat.
He's showing it on stream right now, Payton, for the chat to react to.
I see it. I see it.
Old game.
Wow.
Nice.
Kind of reminds me of a vertical run bow.
Kind of. Yeah, I can see it.
This trailer's actually pretty well edited.
Yeah, he
Seeing
did
how
a
it was from 4
surprisingly
years
good
ago,
job.
yeah, like I've definitely seen worse stuff now. I've seen worse professional stuff now.
Oh yeah. Oh, he almost did the teleporter kill.
Oh yes.
So is this just all like live gameplay you guys did?
Yeah, we just got like a bunch of footage, and then my cousin just cherry picked random segments.
Yeah,
Tried to
it's
get
on
this.
loop right now. So if you guys want to like continue talking about stuff,
Okay.
All right.
it's I like
All right.
derailing sometimes when I find stuff.
Yeah, that's totally
Don't mind me.
Yeah.
At least if something you guys have done.
I mean, just a glance at the website of yours reveals that y'all have produced quite a few games. And, you're certainly going against the grain of our typical indie story, which is, you're working on your first or second game. You've been around for 4 years.
hmm I mean, it's interesting because I guess I'll speak on this. I think Dry or Cole had worked on a lot of games with friends of mine. That's how I met him. And I had been working on a lot of like web game stuff and like some stuff in RPG Maker. So I think I was 17 when I was like prototyping the first kind of games that I ended up doing. I'm assuming it's like similar for everyone else, but it's interesting though because like I do meet a lot of kind of like I don't want to say younger devs because I don't fucking it's not my place to know to say if they're younger or not, but it's developers who are more I guess like wet around the ears in terms of like working on stuff.
Less
And they have
seasoned,
very
if you will.
oh yeah sure less seasoned and they have very big ambitious ideas and I think Pro Crusader, which is from what I understand the game that kind of got you guys to notice us is kind of a important like stepping stone I guess for me because it's the first time I've had like a publisher kind of thing and I reached out to these guys of course to see that to fruition, so it's kind of interesting I guess. I don't know.
Definitely interesting. I think we could not have gone to where we are now without Hop to It and Bunker Bum Rush.
Of course.
I'll say
Gotta
that
love Hop to it,
much.
man.
They didn't even walk so we could run. They like sat on the ground so we could.
They hopped so we could jump.
They
You ever think about
hobbled.
that, Payton?
They hopped. They hopped to it.
Don't know.
Maybe more drowned in the lake.
They hobbed.
They hobbled to it.
Anyway, I suppose it's worth asking, what was your first project as Tunawares?
As Tunaware, that was probably that joke game. Payton. I mean, it wasn't called Tuna. Well,
Oh, it's not even on the website, huh? Vertep
not.
or Easy
I- I didn't think you were
it's such like a
gosh.
non-thing.
Bird Pepper
Tunaware
Easy Mode.
originally there was an. Oh, sorry. Originally, when we did Tunaware, I think we'd all kind of wanted to collaborate on something, but I don't think. Well, I think Rover was around at the time, but he didn't work on it. But there was
Yeah.
another guy that was another artist that wanted to work with us, and he kind of. I mean, we kind of parted ways with him quite soon thereafter, but I think he did kind of push us to make Tunaware more of a professional sort of thing. But we did a game called. So I made these like auto runner games for web that were called Bird Tapper. And we wanted to do like a joke game That was like a parody of like Game Maker's Toolkit. Is a guy that I respect quite a bit, but I think that he has a lot of kind of idiotic takes, quite frankly, about accessibility. So we were kind of doing a joke about that. And it was called Bird Tapper Ease Mode, and the whole game was you were jumping rope, and every now and again there would be like a voice that would like congratulate you for jumping a certain amount of ropes. That was, I think, the first Tunaware game that we did. And then the first like actual one was Gates of Hades, but
Which I think has aged quite well.
Hades of
I agree.
Hades is it's our little child that we all made together.
And I suppose it's worth asking about your collaborative process, because if I'm remembering correctly, you all are located in different parts of the globe.
In the same hemisphere.
Yes, like North America, I think.
Yeah. Like that continent, that thing there.
I mean, do you all work virtually, or do you gather together?
Virtually.
Oh yeah, totally virtually.
I've never met any of these people in real life.
Okay.
You'll be scared when you meet me in real life, Payton.
I think you'll be scared, actually.
Fight.
And they were never heard
Later.
from again.
I feel like we might be unlocking a very dark door here.
Yeah. For the record, I would not like to be implicated in any violence that happens.
Fantasy or otherwise.
It's an evil laugh.
No,
Yeah, you know, when Rover's surrounded by Americans, he's automatically just like 16% more violent. I don't know what's going on there, but
natural defense systems.
all right, man.
Indeed. And well, speaking of projects, I suppose I have to address this one because it's called Cucumber Drag Show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm going to be looking for a video real quick.
What do you want to know about Cucumber Drag Show?
Why?
No, that's kind of fair.
Do you want the joke answer or the real answer? The joke answer is much funnier.
All right, go for it.
The joke answer? Well, the joke answer is we didn't make Cucumber Drag Show. Cucumber Drag Show, we just published it. It was made by a friend of the team named Tony Clifton, and he sent it to us. I think Dry helped with the music a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, Tony's a good friend of mine. I had to give him a hand.
I personally don't know, but I'm sure he's a great man.
He is. You like him.
Oh wow, love to meet him someday.
Okay. Like, the conversation kind of died there.
Should we give the actual
do you want the real answer?
When Tony's not here, there's just kind of like a little bit of the light is gone, you know?
Yeah.
It's true. Very true.
Right. Well, that is good to know, if nothing else.
For sure.
Anyway, I suppose we should get to, for lack of a better term, the main event. That's Crow Crusader. Now, previously in the interview, we had a trailer playing of, it's Spawn of the Spore Spectre. But that's not the first Crow Crusader game. That is the Champion of Canada. So this is technically a franchise.
I guess technically it is. Yeah. Well, Spore Spectre is more of a it's more of a demo. I think of it like you know how like Pink Hour came out before like Caro Blaster. I like to think of it like that.
But I suppose my first question in regards to Crow Crusader is, given the name, does that have any connections to the frog game you initially conceived of?
Oh my gosh.
That would be interesting because Payton would be able to answer that. I mean,
Yeah,
Per
this is a
Crusader,
question for
yeah.
Payton.
So the funny thing about that, I guess, was it actually my idea to make it a frog?
No, it was. I think it was Cole's idea to make it a frog.
Yeah, I made that
Okay.
stupid little drawing of the little frog guy in the balaclava.
So you could think of this as like a bookend almost, because this was not planned at all to have another frog game as our major project, but it happened. It came full circle, and yeah, I had more to add to that, but I lost my train of thought.
Nice.
Was it like a subconscious influence?
I think it might have been. I mean, I guess that would be dry for dry to answer.
Nah,
I know that
nah.
like you did Toadman, which was like 100% you. So Toadman maybe is Mr.
I did. Well, I drew Toadman because like you were describing a character design you wanted.
Well, I thought you were making fun of me when you were drawing Toadman. Quite honestly,
I made like this really shitty sketch. Should we show it? I made this really shitty sketch.
Yeah, you can show it.
Pretty
boy.
All right, I will be
I
set up
was-
to receive.
I was explaining to him because we were doing a little redesign of the main character, and I said to Payton, I said he should look a bit more Raymanish, look a bit more like Rayman. And Payton produced a drawing, which was, I mean, Payton, do you have it? I have it here. If you want.
Yeah,
me to
you
send it.
do you have the Rayman reference that I used? Because
I don't.
it's
have
not
the
gonna
Rayman
make
reference that you
it's not
used,
gonna
it's
make
very
sense
obvious.
unless you see the reference.
I think it'll make decent amount of sense.
There's actually, now that I think about it, there's another Rayman reference that actually made it into the game.
There's a lot of Rayman references in the game. Well,
I
not a lot.
think I found the thumbnail we used as like a reference.
Yeah, that was the picture. So I'll send the picture Payton drew, and you send that. So he produced this sketch basically, where I thought he was like trying to make fun of me, basically, where he had like traced this picture of Rayman in the dirt or something,
No, of course.
and he had this big
I know what that is.
kind of toothy. Yeah,
Do you recognize
This
where that's
big,
from?
Yeah, I was gonna remark on it. It's from Rayman 3, isn't it?
It's the, I think it's the game over screen of like the Game Boy version or something.
Here, I have the thumbnail we used.
send it over. Send it.
Right.
I might be wrong though.
While
Okay,
we're
no, it was
sending
not.
Yeah, that was it.
Google
Yeah.
images.
While
It
we're
was
not
sending
the
this,
Game Boy
should I
version.
send the original
All
Captain
right.
Croak?
I will put those on.
Well, I
stream
mean, if you want to
momentarily.
send the original,
All right.
you can.
So here's the original
I think
Captain
you
Croak.
already-
Gosh, I forgot about that.
That's my profile picture for the school. This is amazing.
We are uncovering the deep lore here tonight.
It's
You're
so
digging
it's,
deep into our psyches. You're getting all the info.
It's not.
So
the
this
first
was
time we've done
the-
this, Adam.
this was like the initial drawing. I wish I still had the build, but this was the initial drawing of like Captain Croak, and he was fully animated like this in like one of the very early like builds.
Oh,
There's still, the video is up,
I
I
think I have
think.
footage on my YouTube channel.
Please find the video. Please find the video. It's
Yeah,
so
on my,
good.
on my channel. Let me switch, or let me.
Oh no.
Reaching ever deeper into the forbidden toy box.
I think I did the animations, or yeah,
Well,
I
it
think
was like 2 frames, wasn't it?
yeah, because it was what it was like we were still in the prototyping phase. I don't think Rover or like Prosciuttoman did any art at this time, so it was just like Dry's little sketch here. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and like test animations with this, and to do that, I'm going to wiggle the character sprite slightly.
Oh boy.
So yeah, if you go like 10 seconds into this video, you can see
Not even
the
10, like
beautiful-
3.
All right, I need
It's
to
not-
resize
yeah,
the
it's
window
weird.
real quick.
Does the video have audio? You might want to mute it.
I already muted.
Yeah,
I
it's-
generally have
I think
audio
Okay.
or
it's a
videos
song.
muted
It's a
just
song that's
because
copyrighted.
I don't like copyright IDs.
Exactly.
It's all fun and games
yeah.
till the guys in suits come to take your channel.
It's all fun games until the guys in suits come to take you.
If this was a Nintendo game, you
That's
would show
facts.
like one frame of the video and then get copyrighted.
Yeah, here we go. I'm seeing it on stream right now.
There he is.
This is technically lost media.
That's a scary thought.
Look at
10
him
years from now,
go.
people are gonna be like searching for this, like, and they're gonna be like harassing us for it.
Well, now they just need to look
Give
for
us the
Fragments of
build.
Silicon Season 21, Episode 14.
Yeah, there you go.
Give us the Crow Crusader 1992 build.
Oh,
It
no.
has to be done. It is imperative. I agree with whoever's saying that in chat.
We've created a monster.
We've done our civic duty. That's what we've done.
But why would anyone want to play this build is the real question. Look at how obtuse this like gameplay is.
You'd
Well,
be
this is when
What
you-
surprised.
matters is that
still
it's
figuring out.
lost.
People are
Arm looks
weird.
pretty symmetrical to me.
Oh,
But,
Me
to
wondering
go
if
a
I can
little
add
bit
some
into-
alcohol to the drink on my desk.
into the like development kind of side of it. I think at that time, I don't know if you guys know like Two Left Thumbs. He's published Picayune Dreams and
There-
the fucking
I
Data
think-
State.
I was like, how are you blanking on Dead Estate, man? That's like
Oh,
this
I
is his
mean,
biggest thing.
That's like it's his flagship thing. But
I
he had
wanted-
reached out.
on the show, but I'd have to look. This is what
Everyone-
You had him on the show.
happens. Like maybe like when you have a lot of people on the program, you tend to forget some people.
Well, and also,
Like,
unfortunately, some of our episodes pre-2016 are gone.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, but
And
I
Even
don't.
more lost
that.
media.
Lost media podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at that time, I had reached out to
It was
him because I was friends with some of the people that he had picked up. He picked up, for example, the developer for Picayune Dreams had been a friend of mine who I'd collaborated with a few times on a lot of kind of projects that ended up not really going that far. But he'd been funding a lot of them and like getting them a lot of kind of success, I suppose. And so I reached out to him, and he was very receptive. And he said, "I'd love to work on a project with you. What do you have?" So at the time, Payton and I were working on, I forget what we called it. It was a game like Halloran. What the hell is it called?
The Invention Fire.
Karururin. No, Karururin, I think is how it's.
Oh
pronounced.
yeah, that one.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We were working in a game that was very inspired by Kururin. Kururin. It's a Game Boy Advance game. It's a little obscure, but it's a Game Boy Advance game. There's like a trophy or a assist trophy of it in Smash Bros. Brawl with a little bird and like a little mech, basically. But we were doing a puzzle game that was very much inspired by it. And we might do something with it someday, but it just there was a lot of discussion about what we could do with aesthetics, and it turned out there was not as much as I would have liked as like from an artist perspective. I did like a little character and some little orbitals, but it never quite felt right. So I was kind of disappointed because I felt like I had blown my opportunity. And then at some point, Payton, I think, had played the Insomniac Spider-Man games.
I never played it, but
well,
yeah.
What was it that inspired you to do the prototype though? Because I remember you talking about that a little bit.
It is inspired off of Insomniac Spider-Man. I've never played them, so I guess I'm kind of like talking out my ass with this, but I just feel like from what I've heard, like the amount of buttons necessary to like play effectively in that game is kind of stupid. Because like the tricks are all different button combinations, so you're like breaking your hand to like do like a fucking Rubik's Cube thing. Like, why can't you just have free form, like, swinging, And that's kind of what this prototype was is like, what if it was just physics-based swinging?
So
not
we, so I showed
Oh.
it to Two Last Thumbs as kind of a last ditch thing to like kind of be like, I have this, and I've been working on this with this programmer. Do you think it would be good? And he said, I'm down to do whatever as long as you're down, as long as you're like able to make something. So let's do it. And that became kind of the focus for a while. And then a lot of the themes kind of, and the like sort of design kind of emerged when I was playing Donkey Kong King of Swing and Gish and these sort of like other physics-based sort of like rope platformers. Getting Over It was another big one. But yeah.
Not to take all the credit, Payton, but weren't you like, wasn't the very first like trace of Crow Crusader idea like from a conversation we had about like some kind of game idea I had?
I don't know,
Magnet
maybe.
Mania, right?
Yes,
it could have been
yes.
about. It could have been Magnet Mania.
I think it was that.
That's possible.
That's interesting.
Do you recall like what it was about specifically?
Oh, I think
Like, were you?
yes. So it was like, so the game I had like kind of a swing idea mechanic that was closer like how the first Rayman game does it, or like something like Rise Star. If you've ever heard of those, where it's like
yeah.
more simple and D-pad based, and then I think Payton wanted to really expand it and take it to the absolute limit by
Yeah.
giving it like crazy mouse controls, like physics-based controls.
Mhm.
Yeah, that could have been a conversation that happened. I genuinely don't remember, but if that's how it went
It's just
down,
lost media.
I
Everything's
swear
lost
it
media.
happened. I swear,
the
not just like
conversational
gaslighting
lost media.
everyone to thinking I came up with the game.
Classic Roverkibb always taking credit for other people's work.
Oh, what can I say? Not me.
Yep.
But yeah, it was pretty interesting. A lot of stuff ended up evolving pretty quickly out of that prototype. We done like a few like little experiments and stuff. And so I think it just sort of eventually culminated in this idea. And I didn't want to do a frog for the longest time too as the protagonist. So it's funny that the Eugene the Frog thing is being talked about, because I remember very vividly that I was like, if it's a frog, it's going to be like the most typical like thing ever, and everyone's going to be like, oh, it's so cliche or whatever. But I think it ended up being pretty decent, especially with the way kind of things evolved. Because not to like get into like kind of trash talking other games or whatever, and I'm not going to mention anything by name, but I think a lot of independent developers who are starting out, they don't feel very comfortable with being honest with themselves in the games that they make. So I try to be a bit honest with myself and put things from like my life in the game. So for example, the enemies are these giant like kind of cockroach gorilla things, and that was kind of based on I'd moved to a new house at the time. And there was a cockroach problem in my apartment complex. So just little stuff like that, I think, was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Not to preach, but I do think that like the best stuff from games come from like real life experiences. Just like the best stuff in any form of art, I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a cool
Or
like
if you look at
through
something
line.
like You May Need Me, which like
Yeah.
Rover I know is a huge fan.
Oh, for sure.
And that's very clearly like a very intimate and a very personal game from that guy.
Yeah.
So it's and then you look at like some of the games that don't do very well. And I'm not going to name any names, but like there's a lot of like independent games out there that are kind of trend chasing, I suppose.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of hard, especially in the indie sphere, where I mean it's obviously very different now, where you have a lot of trend chaser games. But I think that, and I'm sorry to ramble so much, but I think that it's at its best when it's very creatively honest with itself, and it's telling a very personal story that people wouldn't necessarily try to go in for. But we're doing something unique with gameplay at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
I kind of like that. So
I mean, we get both of that kind of thing on this program. You know,
Mm.
I mean, I wouldn't say that we get like the total trend chasers, at least not for interviews, but we certainly get like the personal stories all the time. Mainly because we get a lot of small development units.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
I
much
think that's-
easier with like a small team.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
That's just why I think art and games, which I guess you could sometimes say are art, that's just why they're so cool in general, because there's games, especially since there's a story behind. There's like, this is gonna sound really cliche, but there's always a story behind them, even if it's like, oh, I just want to make Earthbound again. There's still like something like going
That's
into
a huge
them
thing
that's
now.
fun to hear.
I'm gonna make Kingdom Hearts again.
Well, so it's interesting because we were playing a game recently that was very Kingdom Hearts inspired, and it was from a similar kind of situation in terms of the development process. It was a game that I had made, and it was very different to see how this guy approached the same kind of situation because the game that I'm talking about, I worked on a game called Beetle Ninja, which I began making when I was in I think I was in early college or late high school. And COVID kind of happened like right in the middle of when I was working on it. So a lot of that found its way into the game kind of unwittingly. And this other game that we're playing was, I believe, from a similar kind of development cycle. The guy had like started it and then COVID happened and he was continuing to work on it. And it was just interesting seeing a lot of the parallel themes that kind of emerged from that. Obviously, you know, I don't want to brag, but Beetle Ninja did a lot better in terms of more people played it. And critically, it did a lot better. But it was just kind of interesting seeing, you know, how that sort of parallel thinking happens.
I think one thing I think should be noted is that when I was playing Beetle Ninja, I played it a while back. I didn't even notice anything. Like, COVID never crossed my mind once when I played that. And then when I hear about it, I'm like, okay, now I
So
get
for
it.
context, what he's talking about, because I don't think it's not like a huge game. Beetle Ninja is a game that I made a while back. I think it's the first game I put on Steam, and it's about this like beetle themed sort of superhero guy running around and doing like cheap manual labor. And he just goes around doing cheap manual labor for people. And there's this big cataclysmic event that's going to happen, and there's these giant beams that like pop up around the Earth that are spilling out gases that are turning people into these zombies, basically. For some context there on what he's talking about.
Hmm. And then I think the game. I'll try not to go in too much detail, but the game Prosciuttoman was talking about. I think at the end they say something like, "This like plague. It's going to take a long time to recover from this plague, and things are going to be different forever after this." And then immediately after, like
Very
at the very end, it's like this game has absolutely nothing to do with any real life pandemic, plague, or epidemic ever on Earth.
winking
Yeah.
so much people need to start calling the ambulance because they think
Exactly.
you're stroking out.
Well, I just think it's interesting too, because like I feel like I'm fairly open about that part of Beetle Ninja, and I think that makes it a far superior game. But I don't know. I feel like you got to stand by your work sometimes, you know. Especially like if you're talking about something controversial. I understand totally if like you make something that's politically inspired, you don't want to talk about it because of that reason. I totally understand that. But if it's like a game where Post Office mentioned, yes, shout out to Post Office. Post Office is doing music for Crusader as well.
True.
Yes. I forgot what I was talking about. I'm sorry.
Art.
Art?
Yeah.
Like
Being creatively honest.
Yes.
Okay. So I think if you're like skeptical, okay, no. If you're skeptical to talk about it because you have like some political thing, that's fine. But if it's like a world event or whatever, I generally kind of appreciate, even if it's like something I disagree with, I kind of appreciate knowing, not necessarily when going in, because that kind of, in my experience, kind of takes away from the fiction of it. But I appreciate knowing afterwards, like this was inspired by this or that or the other thing. Like, for example, The Dark Knight, which is a fantastic movie. I learned subsequently after watching it that it was inspired by 9/11. Now, you couldn't have probably seen that going in. I don't think many people would recognize that it's like a 9/11 inspired movie. But like when you know that, a lot of stuff starts to make sense.
That is very much how I felt playing, like thinking about Beat 'em Ninja after hearing that how it was tied to COVID and all that.
Mhm.
Having the beans like turning people into zombies thing is like so much darker when you realize it's a commentary on COVID.
Mhm.
I mean, not the first time that zombies have been used in that fashion.
It's true. Very true.
Won't be the last.
No, it won't. Especially with
But yeah, I mean,
how
I'm sorry.
the world's been going lately.
Of course. But yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, now that we've brought up Beetle Ninja, that was another thing that was very important for my career because when I made Beetle Ninja, RPGmaker.net was still around. And that was, of course, a big kind of hub for people that made RPG Maker games. And it got a lot of recognition there. And I think it's a big part of. It was not the reason that I got a deal from Jeff Thumbs. That happened subsequently. But it's opened the door for me to make web games with people like my friend Levi, who shout out to him. He's working on this game Gappy that's coming out very soon. Or I think a demo is coming out soon. But I'd worked on Beetle Ninja. It won a lot of awards for art and for music, and I'd worked with Post Elvis on it. And Post Elvis, I met. I know Rover and Payton probably know him from Pizza Tower, but at the time I didn't know that game at all. I knew him because he was working in a game. The name escapes me at the moment, but it was very similar to Off. It was about Alamari, I think it's called. He had done the soundtrack for it, and I liked it quite a bit. And so I brought him on, and we've since become we've collaborated quite a few times. It was called Undertale. I'm reading the chat. Very underground game. Of course.
I had no clue. That's amazing.
What the hell's an Undertale?
What is this
Yes.
Undertale game? I'm gonna need you to explain that.
Oh,
Isn't it
man,
like
he has
$1 right
amnesia.
now, guys? Like
$1. They couldn't even give it
maybe
away.
we should get it.
Words
Maybe we
to
should
my
get it.
hero, Obey the Fist. It was almost free, and they couldn't even give it away. What a pitiful result. In the words of my my homeboy, Obey the Fist on Steam, who's a complete fucking loser.
Oh my god.
Yeah, shoutouts to Obey the Fist for his
Pointing
very
out
lovely
that
review of our
game
game.
Shout out to Obey the Fist for pointing out that our game is in fact a 2D game and is in fact a demo. I thought we were gonna get away with it, but unfortunately we couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that guy so much. Dude, people are recognizing him in chat. It's awesome.
Are they actually?
Yeah, we have someone.
Hell
Hold
yeah.
on.
My boy Hexor.
Yeah, I didn't know he was still alive.
He very well is.
Yeah, he is. I don't mean to get too like spiteful on here. I just thought it was a funny little gag.
Thought we should give him a shout out is all.
We should give him a little shout out. Yeah, he's a big muse of mine. What can I say? I'm gonna make a Call of Duty generic clone number 374, and hopefully by then he'll give me a chance.
You keep pictures of him on your wall, right?
I
that
do,
Rover?
in fact. I have a collage of his various clippings.
Hanging
I'm
above
a
the
big
bed,
fan of
waiting
his
for them to
reviews.
fall.
Naturally.
I'm a big fan of his reviews. I mean, I look in my up in my closet. I've got a picture of him in there, and I look at it for good luck in the morning. You
have a huge binder cataloging all like 1,500 of his reviews.
I do. I believe it's 1,600 now, but yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know what he says. 2D games are inferior to 3D games.
I mean,
and they're
as he
significantly
said,
worse.
quite
Really, we
simply,
should just
they're inferior.
cancel the game like right here and
Yeah.
now.
So this is our announcement. We're canceling Pro Crusader.
That's a wrap, folks.
Yep.
We need to make it for those like fucking Chinese like Scorpion King like fucking gaming chair rigs. That's the only kind of game that's acceptable.
God,
Everyone die or whatever. Yeah. Pro Crusader for PS5? Yep, that's right. And we'll have what the fuck is the guy's name?
Ooh.
Obey the Fist?
Oh, Jeff
Hold
Keighley?
on, no, I'm looking this up. Rick Moranis.
We're doing
Live
research.
research.
We'll have Rick Moranis play Captain Crow, and we'll have a little cameo from Dave Thomas.
Jesus.
Oh yes.
Jack Black's
Only
gonna
the
be
real
playing Toad, man.
Canadians-
Why do I feel like
Only
getting
the real
Whitey
Canadians will know what I'm
second
talking
right
about.
Pro Crusader LCD screen wrist game.
Now we're cooking with gas.
I mean, that would be
Tiger
so
Games.
fucking derailed for whatever it was we're talking about.
I've already had people tell me the game like gives them like wrist injuries. Like I don't think we need it on a tinier screen.
Why not?
I think that's
Live a
you're gonna
little.
break your hand.
We don't need a game that gives you wrist injuries on your wrist.
Well, we have a warning for it, so it's up to the person at that
We
point.
do.
You know?
That's another interesting thing is I like a lot of control scheme games, and that I think found its way into the game. I guess it would be deceitful to say that I did not intend for it to be like a control scheme game when we like worked on it, but I think it's kind of wanted to do that. It kind of wanted to kind of be sort of like that, and it's kind of cool seeing that take form. But with those kinds of games, it's always kind of risky because you get a lot of people that and this is a problem I encountered when I was playing Gish, right? Which is one of the like big influences for Crow Crusader. Is when I played Gish, I wanted Gish to just jump up in the air when I press the space bar, and he doesn't. He just kind of like flops around. And I think I
Oh, you cut out for a
imagine
second.
it's a similar experience when people play Crow Crusader. It's just kind of a cool kind of thing that happens, I guess, with these kinds of games.
Oh, well, I guess I don't have much to say on the subject. I think Gish is a neat game. I'm glad that we're taking from that.
Mm.
It's kind of like a how do I put this? It's a game I saw like when I was like younger, and it kind of just like entered like a kind of dreamish state where I'm like, this game might exist, it might not.
Mm.
So, and eventually I hope that maybe we can put some of that in Crow Crusader too. We'll see.
What do you mean by that?
It's actually
I hope that one day some kid, some like little 5-year-old kid will see Crow Crusader like for 5 seconds and then like
Yeah.
he'll be like, does this game exist?
They're gonna make the
That
criminal
was
They
how I
find
felt.
it, and it'll be like, oh my goodness.
That's how I felt with Fez actually. Because I remember when I was very young, Fez was like, or the development of Fez was like this big whole sorted affair, but it was starting to like be, or it had come out at that time. And I remember playing. I have this vivid memory of coming to the United States and going to my cousin's house and playing Fez on like their sunroom or something. And I'd forgotten it existed completely. And then I went back to Steam and played it again. And it's just kind of weird, yeah.
One day you too will be someone's repressed memory.
Yes, of course.
Hopefully.
Ideally.
I don't know if 5-year-olds should be watching like little bug creatures getting smashed across the pavement.
They
Did you see
should
the
get
review that
it, but
guy
probably
put out?
will.
Where he said he wanted to send it to like his 6-year-old cousin or something.
What?
He thought that Toadman was a fly, and he was saying, like, "I'm gonna give this to my like 6-year-old cousin because he has a obsession with flies, but I'm not going to give it to him now because it's got like such graphic material." And I'm really questioning what he meant. I can only think of Indie Game the movie when that game is brought up. That's pretty true actually. I feel bad.
That's like its
Phil
legacy,
Fish.
basically.
Yeah, well,
What-
it's like
wait, what
his Phil
game?
Fish announcing that he's going to kill himself if he doesn't finish it. So
I see.
Get out Phil Fish.
Shout out to Phil
I
Fish
respect
for getting a
Phil
bunch of
Fish.
money from my government.
we should
Mm.
have done that. We should have done that.
Can we kind of do
Get
that?
a quick 30K, you know?
Yeah, I have connections.
Yo, call up
Those
Trudeau
are like
for
the
us.
most famous last words I've ever heard.
Call
I
up
have
Trudeau.
connections, and then
thing
someone
is,
ends up
I
in a body
think that we
bag.
did inadvertently benefit from that program that Fez got, because as I understand it, if you're doing like an arts project, and I think that another guy I'm working with is doing like the equivalent in Denmark. But I think if you have like a thing where you're helping out local artists, you can get a bunch of money, as I understand it. Obviously, I'm not like a super caught up guy with that, but I don't know. I think we did inadvertently kind of benefit a little bit from the kind of Fez money sort of thing.
Oh, so
Um, I think I don't know if this is true, but I believe we might have gotten a little bit of money from it, from that thing. But I'm not 100% on that. Don't quote me.
we're secretly siphoning money from the government,
Maybe.
and you never told me.
But Fez did it too, so I don't feel that bad.
It's a joke. Come on now.
If Fez dropped off a bridge, would you do it?
Yes.
Fez dropped off the bridge.
How tall of a
What
bridge
are
are
you,
we
stupid?
talking here?
See, my man
At
Phil Fish
least
said he
6
would
feet.
drop off.
At least.
At least 6 feet.
If Phil Fish was willing to drop off a bridge, if Fez wasn't finished, then I'm willing to jump off one of the bridges we have here in Florida, where I'll certainly get eaten by a crocodile. If this game isn't done.
I'll
His
do it
own
for like
little, like-
$50.
Your life stakes on me like being an effective like level designer.
Well, my life stakes on you being an effective level designer, me being like an effective like project lead, and like character designer. On Dry to be an effective music lead, and on Rover to be an effective like art lead.
Gold.
You're cooked.
Yeah.
I'll be seeing
Rebozo.
you at your funeral.
So Peyton, this is my announcement to you. If this game isn't done by the date that is promised, I will be blowing my brains out with a revolver. Got it?
No,
wait. Can I fly over to you and do that too?
Yes, I will
no,
fly
no,
you
no,
out
no.
so you can do it. So it's on you.
Oh yeah, tag team.
Like, we're not making a settlement in the woods.
No, I'm
We're
not.
gonna play like
Doing it at my house.
Squid Game Russian roulette.
Yeah, more or
You have
less.
to issue a disclaimer at this point.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just friendly reminder, Fragments of Silicon does not condone self-harm.
None of us do. I'm just using it as a vehicle to make sure it
you're
gets
not.
done.
I condone Phil Fish, and if he condones that, then so be it.
Oh no.
I like this. I like this comment here, where name dropping Phil Fish being like the Akira scene where he's having flashbacks.
See, I don't know. It's weird to me because I do respect him a lot. That was like when I was a kid. I know a lot of people say like Edmund McMillan or whatever. When I was a kid, it was Phil Fish because I only spoke French at the time, and I loved Phil Fish and I respected the shit out of him. But then like all this shit came out and he was like a douchebag.
Oh yeah, that's felt like a lot of us, find out the people we respected were actually horrible human beings.
It was like that scene in The Incredibles where that kid tears down the poster of Mr. Incredible in his room. That was like me when I found out Phil Fish was actually like a complete douchebag. But I do have very immense respect for him.
Maybe my like senses of like scale was warped, but I feel like a lot of the early indie devs from that era were like kind of turned out to be not very good people, just like from their personalities.
Derek, you and Ed McMillan are like pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Edmund's a great guy, it seems.
John Blow, I think, is pretty cool too.
We may have some bias against him.
Yeah.
John Blow?
We will not be getting into it.
Alright.
McMillan.
Oh, McMillan or okay, McMillan.
What did I miss? My internet been a little
cool
funky.
too because we didn't delve much into this, but I before I met with these guys, I'd worked on like other indie games. I'd worked on a game called Indie Pogo, which allowed me to meet with a lot of these kind of. Well, I didn't like meet with them directly, obviously, but like indirectly, kind of work with these people. And we did get to work with the Meat Boy people, which was very, very cool.
Yeah. Granted, Team Eat isn't really a thing anymore.
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
Edmund went off to make more Binding of Isaac, leaving Tommy to shepherd Meat Boy.
I see. And then what was the most recent thing? It was like the puzzle game.
Yeah, it was like a Puyo Puyo type game.
Something like that.
I
Granted,
don't know.
Super Meat Boy Forever didn't set the world on fire.
There is Super
I
Meat
will
Boy
reserve
Forever.
judgment. I will reserve judgment, but I will say we did a game that a lot of people. Well, not with this group, with another guy, another friend of mine. We did a game that a lot of people that are friends with me have said is like a far better executed version of Meat Boy Forever. So
I mean,
Yeah, one of them really thought that.
one of them did really think that.
I'm glad
Oh,
you
yeah.
mentioned that, Dry. Because when we started talking about, I heard Binding of Isaac, and I immediately thought about that funny ass interview where
We won't get into it,
roasted.
Payton. We won't get into it. But
Okay,
Okay.
let's not
Pretty
discuss.
funny.
Let's not discuss it too much.
Okay.
It was really funny.
Hello.
But yeah. What the hell just happened? That guy joined, and there was complete silence. You have to respect a virtuous man with a love for
Oh.
pooping and farting. I guess
Hell
that is
yes.
true. Edmund has not evolved in terms of like what he thematically does with his game. I respect him though. I respect the game.
Well, I suppose recentering the topic here.
Okay, yeah, good because we've gotten very off track.
Yeah, in terms of Crow Crusader 2, how far along is this game?
For Crusader 2, do you mean the Champion of Canada?
Is that the one that's in development right now? Like,
Yes. So Sports Spectre, just to clarify, because it's a kind of a common thing that people get wrong. Sports Spectre was just a demo. It's not like supposed to be its own game. It can stand on its own, but it's not intended to be like a full substitute.
Okay.
It's sort of like I described earlier. It's like the way that for Caro Blaster they had that game Pink Hour that came out beforehand. That was like basically the same mechanics, but it's a different character and it's like its own self-contained, like mini story, but it's supposed to be a preview for Caro Blaster. That's how I feel about Sports Spectre. But Champion of Canada, we are, I would say, we're pretty into it. It's been like a year. I don't want to like reveal too much, but we're about a year-ish into it. We've been working on it pretty hard, I would say. But it's definitely been like a learning experience. This is like the first like large-scale game we've worked on. Like obviously you saw earlier, we have a lot of kind of small flash games. Like the concealed game is something you pick up for 5 minutes and then you're done. A lot of the kind of flash games that we've done are kind of like that. You can pick it up for about 5-10 minutes and you're done. But Crow Crusader is a lot bigger.
Well, hopefully it doesn't turn out to be too daunting.
Not yet.
Not yet. Those are another famous last words.
It's difficult because it's a platformer, and I see that a lot of people that start out with game development try to do platformers for their first thing. When, in my personal opinion, they just start out doing like mini games, but that's just me. But so it's interesting because we have to have a lot of like world variety and level design variety and stuff like that. Which I mean, I know on paper that sounds like pretty easy. Like as some people point out, there's like 17,000 platformers on Steam right now, right?
Wow.
That's probably a low end estimate, but sure.
Yeah, definitely a low end estimate. But I think that a lot of these people that look at that, they assume they're all like these 2D kind of NES aesthetic, but like done poorly, kind of quick 5-10 minute games. Crusader is like, I mean, I think if you played well enough, it could maybe take like an hour or something, but the intended experience for like a first time player is that it'll take a while, definitely to get used to the controls and to like master the controls.
I think being able to be done in a short amount of time while still letting people have the option to take their time is like a very good quality for a game to have.
I agree. Well, I think that you're still learning a lot with Percursor. It's like I said, it's a control scheme game, so a lot of it is based around like you learning how the whip works, the like whip that you use to like traverse environments. So it's definitely, I think, supposed to be a much larger game than a lot of these kind of typical 2D Steam games, which is a shame. I mean, we try to make it very distinct, which to some extent I think has worked, but there's a lot of competition out there, obviously.
Indeed. And what platforms are you aiming for?
Right now, with the way the control scheme works, it's just Steam. We have Two Left Thumbs has just, I think it was just recently he's gotten something on a console. So
Oh,
I think
wow.
that's an option. Yeah, he got that billiards game. I forget what it's called onto console.
Oh, that game looks really cool.
It does look pretty cool. I'm
Hey.
probably gonna pick it up.
Hypothetically, we could have a Wii version with the remote.
We could hypothetically
Good.
the Switch version.
Are you talking about Crocus-Ator?
Yeah,
Yes.
Percocet.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's built with kind of like. So I think it's interesting in terms of like a retro game, because I think the way I mean I didn't go into it, and I don't think any of us kind of went into it with this mentality, but it's kind of evolved into this kind of like DS era game in terms of like the way the controls work, where it's very very dependent on like moving something around and like you've got like kind of a grab thing. But it also has like this old like 1950s like King Kong film aesthetic.
Yeah.
So it's very unique. I feel like in terms of, and obviously I'm making the game, so I'm very biased in saying this, but I hope that the audience will agree. I feel like it's a very unique take on like a retro sort of game.
Someone in here saying like Switch port. Do you think that would be possible at all?
Switch port. I mean that's
It
up to
has
Payton.
touchscreen, doesn't it? The Switch.
It does.
That
yes.
would that would be awesome. But honestly, I think we'd have more fitting games in the future for that kind of control screen, like
Yeah.
controller and all that. I really don't
I think
recommend playing
motion
this game with
would
controller,
work well
although
with
it is an option if you want to.
Yeah. No promises though,
The
so don't try
intended-
suing us.
The intended control scheme is like, well, at least the way that when I was in college used to play Getting Over It, which is like mouse and keyboard. Although you can play on a controller, and I've seen a lot of people playing controller. They usually don't have a very good time, but they do try and play on controller.
It's a bit similar for our game, though. I think we've definitely been making efforts to kind of streamline the controls for an Xbox gamepad.
Yeah, it'll kind of like be the same translation as like playing a first person shooter on a controller, where you don't have the same amount of freedom as you do as like a mouse, but it's there if you absolutely need to do it.
I'm pretty satisfied because it feels very different on controller versus on like mouse and keyboard.
I mean, that's the trick, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose.
Well, though there is a platform that's been absent from the conversation, that's mobile devices. Could this game work on a mobile screen?
I think it could work theoretically on a mobile screen. I just don't. I think mobile games need to be built for mobile first and foremost,
Yeah.
and they generally do not work when they're not built for mobile.
That is true. That is very, very true. I think we've all played the mobile game that wishes it was a console game, but doesn't play out very well.
Sure. I think personally, maybe a bit of a tangent to it. I've definitely always wanted to make something like for mobile that kind of really takes advantage of that platform, kind of like how those very early games did, but they kind of expands onto it in more of like kind of an adventure idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think Concealed could have worked as a mobile game, like pretty decently well.
You know what game could have worked for that? Cucumber
What?
Drag Show.
Oh,
Cucumber Drag. I mean, you're joking, but it could have.
Yeah, no,
It
I'm
could
not
have worked as a-
joking. I'm being serious.
imagine if an
We ever did a
iPad game got
Cucumber
a hold
Drag
of
Show
that game.
remaster. It's like a streamlined, like dress to impress.
If you guys want, no one has heard this yet. This is like fresh off the presses. I could give you the like actual origins of Cucumber Drag Show.
That sounds like something we could end the thing off on. Sure, let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
So Cucumber Drag Show was a game that we had made a game called Concealed, which is a game where it's like a social deduction game where you have a bunch of seals and one of them's an alien and you have to hit the alien, and if you hit the seal, like, you get penalized. And we'd made it for like a Halloween competition. And I believe there was another game that was it was called the Twiggy's Dance Club, or you know what, I'm not gonna name names. It's probably not. There was
Names
another
named,
game that was ahead of us.
not to name names.
It was a dress up game that was ahead of us, and we looked at it because it was ahead of us on the competition, and I really did not understand the hype, and I think we had commented something about like we thought it was kind of lame, and then they got very angry at us, so we decided I was talking with these guys.
They got really angry at me.
They did get very angry at Cole specifically, but they were very angry about the fact that we were criticizing them. And so we were like, fuck this. We're gonna make our own dress up game, and it's gonna be far better because this huge thing is happening on web that's like I think a little backwards. It's taking a step.
It was
backwards.
also made in 2 days.
Yes, it was also made in 2 days, but I think it's taking a step backward completely in terms of game design, where people make dress up games like these kind of dead baby dress up style dress up games that I don't know why people like them, but I guess they do, so whatever. But they make them, and I'm rambling way too much, aren't I? But we continued making, or they said it, and then they said like, oh, we don't like that you're leaving criticism, and then we decided we would make our own game. That was a dress-up game that was kind of half a joke and kind of half like, this is what I think would be good in terms of evolving this like kind of little genre, right? And so we made it in 2 days. I said we have to have a rating system because otherwise there's no reason to actually be dressing up this shit that you're dressing up.
I think I said that, but
yeah. We have to have a rating system, we have to have themes, and we have to have it be like a competition because there's like a beauty competition type thing that was on the TV at the time, and I guess I saw it in the background, and I decided that was the thing. And I was also watching Rocky Horror a lot, so I think that also influenced the game quite a bit. So it ended up turning into this game where you dress up these cucumbers. You have like 3 judges, and like they'll judge them at the end. And I can't remember why. I think it was like an Andy Kaufman kind of joke. If you get 3rd place, which is impossible in the game, you can't get lower than 2nd place. But if you get 3rd place, you get a milk and cookies. If you get 1st place and 2nd place, you get a trophy. And they all like clap for you and applaud you. And what was funny is that like if you do really poorly, they applaud you like tremendously, and if you do like really well, they don't applaud you very much at all. Which was kind of a commentary on how we felt that like the kind of community with web games like kind of treats these kind of like, well, I tried, so like give me a participation kind of prize type thing, So that's the real origin of Cucumber Drag Show, long and short of it.
Interesting perspective, I suppose. Anyway, as enlightening and illuminating as all this has been, we are out of time, so we will have to conclude our proceedings at this juncture. But be that as it may, it's been lovely having you all on the broadcast here to talk about a lot of stuff, honestly. And we look forward to see how Crusader shapes up in the months ahead. Like, right. Does the game have a Steam page yet?
It does. I can grab that for you if you want.
Sure. Because that's always handy.
Or delicious steamed toads.
Yeah, let me grab that for you.
Anyway,
There's a page for the demo as well.
Anyway, the game is Croak Crusader, the Champion of Canada. It is currently in development. Release date TBA, price TBA. But it does have a Steam page and a demo, so you can see where it lies at this particular moment in time, and we encourage you to do that today. And as always, if you enjoyed this interview, be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell, as that will let you know when we go live next. And so coming up on the week ahead, we do have a new episode of MSP happening, involving a guest who got name dropped in the chat during this episode, weirdly enough.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, we are Bacon of
To the
Tactical Bacon
John
Production
Glover.
on the MSP show. No Friday Fragments this week. And coming up on the Sunday reviews, we will be having reviews of OTXO, Vagrant, not exactly sure how to pronounce that. Cube Snake and 1000 Cross Resist. So until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.